Is it 2 o'clock?
Not yet.
You lying pieces of...
Might make it. Might make it.
Okay. Okay. 2 o'clock. No gym.
Can we beat him?
I can do this all, I mean, there's always, normally it's, it's the Muslims. And in this group, they say there's no Muslims.
He was the first to eat lunch.
Can we beat him?
You can do I'm not telling you what to do, but they call it a blanket party. You throw a sheet over and then beat them until you see the sheet turn red. Yeah, I mean, you can beat them like a fucking rented mule. A fucking rented mule.
Who's his roommate?
You. No, you. You.
You're gonna be our insider.
Okay. Now that you're not having the gym today, have more time to do your homework. Now, have I collected all the homework that I haven't collected it yet?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll collect it now.
Do you want the Saudi Aramco too?
Yeah. Can you remember what you wrote down?
Yeah.
Somebody already told me the right answer for Saudi. Who was it?
I can share my answer.
No. Okay. Okay, pass it down, please. Okay, as you're passing it around, I'm going to tell you why okay, somebody had the answer. You had the answer of Aramco, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. It's close. This is why, in my judgment, and I believe this young man agrees, why Aramco, the largest holder of petroleum reserves on the planet, is going public instead of $100 or $120 oil at $45 or $50 oil. They're not stupid people. They're not giving up $50 to $70 a barrel of oil because they're stupid. So what's the reason, in your judgment, that Aramco is going to go public for 2%?
I heard it was 5%.
Okay, 5%. That's even worse. Why is it?
Well, because I figure it's not because they need the money.
Correct.
How many billions? So, as I say, going public, they obviously have to be audited every quarter, right?
Correct. And they have to have petroleum reports with the public offering document and list all the barrels of oil they have. Proved producing, proved, unproved. So it's going to say how many barrels they really have, and the gazillions. Okay, keep talking.
And if, like, with a public company, they can say whatever they want about their business, but if it's public, like, they can't falsify it.
Correct.
So, yeah, I figure they're just going to throw their cards on the table because they've got an ace up their sleeve, whatever that is. I think the amount of oil that they've got.
They have significantly more oil than anybody has ever guesstimated they have.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that do to the world oil market? Now think real hard, shit brains.
Low amount of water.
It blows out fracking. It blows it to shit. They're tired of hearing that the U.S. is going to be oil dependent. They're tired of hearing that they're not as important as they once were. And now when they show they got 800 gazillion motherfucking barrels, more than anybody estimated, it's going to shut the fuck everybody. Fuck. We're going to be with these fucking assholes forever. And it's also going to decrease exploration, in my judgment, worldwide by other people, because fuck, they can keep the price of oil at $40 a barrel forever. Forever.
Everyone else will still make money.
And they'll stand in my, because they're priced $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 a barrel, depending where you are in the Middle East, to the surface. And in the United States, even with fracking, depending on where it is, it's $40 to $50 a barrel.
Yep. I heard it takes it only costs them like $4 to get the oil.
Is that what?
You just said that.
Oh, I just said that, didn't I? Okay. Sometimes the brother can't, pay. I just said it 15 seconds before you said it.
Literally 2 seconds. It was the sentence previously.
See how a brother roll on a brother? Hey, wait. That's your board. That's your fucking board. Just rolling over on you.
He didn't hear you.
Okay, well, I mean, tell him again.
I didn't hear.
That's exactly when they say, "Well, I didn't think the chairman was going to roll on me." And for you guys that are minorities of ethnic different groups, and you delude yourself, and because you're going to bring other minorities, they're going to have your back. Forget it. But this is what they're going to have, and that's life. And if you're kind of like a half-ass minority, or a 6.6% minority, but I'm 94% minority the other side. So, you know, my Hispanic brother's going to cover my back. They got my 6. That's horseshit. Because money is what, unfortunately, even though all the snowflakes want to say that it's other things, it's money and ultimately what people make decisions based on. Money or the lack thereof, more importantly. The lack thereof. And that's just life. And just because absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because the guys aren't talking about it out there doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And you know, we tease and we joke about it, but the bottom line is that you're going to have not just the tools, but you're going to be able to play the orchestra because you understand the whole picture for the first time. But a lot of this news you already had, and as you were saying, and as I said proudly, he did a deal, and I told him it's all right. I'm not making you talk to these assholes. If you want to talk to them, that's fine. But he has been through the process from A to Z, except he hasn't exited yet. But I mean, he bought a company, just like from the book, the way the book says. He slapped the banks around, just like the book says, just like my YouTube say, just like all the stuff that's free on the internet before he ever got here. And he happens to be in one of the hottest, if not the hottest areas on the planet now. And he's got 20 years experience, and so which just makes it that much greater of a story. And it's like one of the Manx told you, we love you. We love you. You know, you got all this experience and they got an MBA on top of it. I mean, so he is sitting in the cat's bird seat. I mean, it's like the food's just on the ground. He can just go pick it up. He's got to be careful what he does, but he's got to be not careful in time, but careful that he doesn't buy shit assets. And that's the first acquisition he made was assets. Just like I say, I would rather buy assets as opposed to a company because the company comes with liabilities contingent, from the past, the current, and even the future. So, and he did it right. But if you want to talk to him, fine. If you don't, and you just tell him to fuck off, that's fine too. I don't give a shit. He didn't come here to be a teacher. But if you feel sorry for him, he wants to give you a little mercy fuck information, that's fine. That's fine, Or if he wants to just piss on, some of the guys that come here that have done the deals wouldn't piss on your face if it was on fire.
I don't mind to speak.
Okay, piss on your face. Get that? Piss on your... Fuck. Yeah, well, if you really wanted to hurt somebody's feelings in the hood when I was a kid, I wouldn't piss on his face if it was on fire, Now, that's kind of the height of dislike. You know how you have a like on Facebook? Is there a dislike button? There should be. I wouldn't piss on your face if it were on fire button. I'd be put, because I get a lot of requests. And it's all right, they get requests, but I don't answer them. But okay, yes, sir.
Could you explain the buy assets versus a business?
Okay.
A business, an asset? Okay,
no. Okay, your company. Okay, it's in a company form. Is it in the LLC? S corp. Okay, S corp. That means you've got they can't sue you direct. They have to pierce the corporate veil. In other words, they have to prove that he really did something bad for them to get around just suing his company. Right now, he sued the company, and if they win, maybe they could force you into bankruptcy, et cetera, et cetera. But if you just had to take the assets that are in the S corp, the assets, okay, building, inventory, contracts, and take it out of that S corp, that's what we are telling the kids to buy if they can.
That includes employees, right?
Yeah. Well, no, you're not selling the employees. I mean, this isn't slave time. I mean,
I just mean, can you
from a black man, I get that question, you know. Slavery was outlawed. At least I thought it was outlawed quite a long time ago. But no, so it's the cash, equipment, contracts, the nuts and bolts and shit, the real estate. That's the assets. So we want to buy assets wherever we can. And it's his first acquisition. He bought assets. He left the company because with the company comes liabilities. And so he was able to convince the seller to just buy the assets. And that's exactly the way you do it. And banks like that too, because banks realize that you're not bringing all the liabilities on board. So that's the difference between buying assets and buying the company. For example, Microsoft, the company, it's got a lot of assets, right? It's got software, it's got this, it's got that. It's now got buildings, it's got cash, it's got contracts, okay? Within the corporate entity. Now, when they wouldn't do this, but if you wanted to take all the corporate assets out of Microsoft and buy them as a unit and leave the corporate shell, and believe me, Microsoft nor anybody else, big company like it, never going to do that. But that's what you want. You want to just buy the assets. Question?
What typically happens with the company then? Do they just fold it and leave it there?
Well, okay, so now you take the assets out and the shell is left. Sometimes you'll see corporate shells for sale, and they say they're clean corporate shells, and they're not clean corporate shells. I've never seen a 100% clean corporate shell because you have to account for all the shareholders going back. But normally in the things that you're going to buy, there's only going to be 1, 2, or 3 shareholders. It's the guy that founded the company, maybe his wife, maybe his family because he gave his kids some shares. But it's the way, it's the simplest, cleanest way to acquire is assets only and not the corporations that they come in. There's another question? Okay, so he did it, he's done it right, he's done it correctly.
So, sir,
Yep.
So if I buy it right and I acquire equity as well, that's my equity, right?
Well, no, the equity are the assets because in assets, I mean, you may very well get cash, but not many people are going to sell you the cash without selling you the debt and liabilities. But so normally, if you're going to buy the assets, did you get cash? You just got the assets. Okay, the guy kept whatever little cash was in it. So the value of those assets is now the equity. If you paid $1 million for those assets, your equity is now the $1 million that you paid for that asset base.
No, but if they value the company at...
Well, no, but that's everything. If they value the company in the corporate entity, for example, if this company was on the stock market, it would have, in addition to its value, it would have goodwill. It would have, its brand. It's been around a million years. I don't know how much of Microsoft...
The Tate account was in that.
Pardon?
Goodwill counts as Tate.
Correct. But I don't know how much, let's take Facebook, it's younger. I don't know how much of Facebook's value is valued because of its name brand. A lot of it. I mean, Facebook is one of the most popular brands in the world. So, I mean, if Facebook ever sold, it's not going to sell. And what assets does Facebook have? A bunch of servers, some buildings now. I think Facebook's got a university, and Facebook's got cash. But when you strip all that out, so the value, let's say that Facebook on the stock is 100 billion. If you strip out all the assets, they may only be 40 billion, because maybe 60 billion of that is cash and goodwill. So, but we're going to talk a lot about it the next couple of days. We want to buy assets if at all possible. Yes, ma'am.
Goodwill. When you talk about goodwill, what exactly are you?
Goodwill is the value attributed to, okay, let's take University of Spoiled Children. Your alma mater, where you got your PhD, that's USC, not the USC, University of South Carolina, the other USC. It's got a massive goodwill because it's very instrumental in the business of Southern California. A good portion of the corporate executives in Southern California and throughout the world went to that institution of higher learning. So, I mean, it's got, its goodwill is probably worth billions of dollars.
So they value it?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely value it. Yeah, the recognition, I mean, whereas, although I'm getting in trouble lately calling my school the school you got to explain about, although CSUN now has much more value than when I graduated, 40 years ago, 40 years ago, now it has built up a reputation, it has goodwill. Harvard, Oxford is a preeminent example of a school that's got goodwill because it's been around 1,000 years. And and so it's valued very, very high. Although these institutions of higher learning aren't for sale and you're not buying them, but on the balance sheet, they've got a lot of goodwill. Yes, sir.
So when doing purchases, how do we know how much we can strip or slash the price because of?
Well, because you're going to have an accountant and a transaction lawyer. You're going to have big accountants, and they're going to say, okay, what's this pig really worth? What's this hog? How much goodwill's in it? For example, you buy oil well, okay? It produces $1 million a year after expenses. Okay, are you going to buy it just based on the $1 million a year after expenses? No, because it has underground proved producing reserves. It could have $100 million worth of reserves, and then you discount it. And I don't want to get to your present value. You discount the oil, and then how much is the oil that's non-producing reserves, and the pretend, what I used to call the pretend reserves. And if you talk to petroleum engineers, I've never seen but one or two examples in my 40-year career quasi in the oil business where they undervalue. They always overvalue because they think there's more producing reserves than there are. One of the only examples is the North Sea. Dryhold Dyke, who discovered the North Sea, Robert Dyke, who was on my first Dream Team board, and he drilled the 89th well at Argyle in the North Sea. He was called Dryhold Dyke before that because he drilled 88 motherfucking dry holes in the North Sea. This is before the North Sea was discovered. And then he went from Dryhold Dyke to the father of the North Sea because the 89th well at Argyle brought in the North Sea. And he said, in his infinite wisdom, smart old bastard that he was, he said that this is one of the examples is going to be for the first time in the world where we're undervaluing, because they said the North Sea was going to be through in 20 years. The North Sea was discovered in the late 70s, okay? So it was supposed to be all shot to shit by the mid to late 90s. And then they extended it to now. They keep on, because of secondary and tertiary recovery methods or new modern techniques to extract oil. Now the North Sea is, ripping along, many years, 40 years plus past when it was discovered by Bob Dyke, and Hamilton Brothers was the name of the company. And just as in the United States, the reason why one of the main reasons the energy reserves in the United States have expanded so much is because of enhanced recovery techniques, not the least of which is fracking and directional drilling and fracking. And so now they've just discovered in the last 6 months a new oil field in Texas that is supposed to have 1 billion barrels. But it's going to cost between $40 and $60 a barrel. So when Aramco throws, let's say, 100 trillion barrels on the market, not on the market, but when they see that they got 100 trillion barrels, I mean, what is that going to do to the people that want to explore in the United States when they know to produce a barrel is $3-4 a barrel, $5 a barrel, as opposed to $40-50 a barrel? Okay, YouTube, thank you. I'll see you later.